Good afternoon, Patrick, and thank you so much for getting involved in this week's Business Owner Spotlight. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yes, thanks, Scott. So it's a pleasure to take part in the podcast, and I'm delighted to hopefully share some of my story and background. So my name is Patrick Woods. I am the managing director of Linwood Health Foods. We are a leading brand in the manufacture and selling of health foods across the UK, Ireland, and Europe.
Excellent. And how long have you guys been in business? And more importantly, how long have you been involved with the business?
Yeah, so we're a third generation family business. So my grandfather started the business back in I think it's probably the early 30s.
Right, okay.
Collecting eggs around local farms and selling meal back to the farmers. And then he built a local grocery store and hardware store in rural County Armagh. And the business has developed from there. My dad then took it on when he was 21. And dad ran the business for 60 years up until 2 years ago. And it's been through lots of different evolutions and different types of activity. The grocery store is the one constant in all of this. And dad had a go at international transport. He built a successful bakery and dairy wholesale and manufacturing business, servicing a lot of customers throughout Northern Ireland. And in Northern Ireland in particular, Linwoods is probably better known for bread and milk than seeds and health foods. And then into the kind of early 2000s, then we started to move into the health food space, and with milled flaxseed, and then that business has grown and developed into the business that we have today. I left school after my A-levels and came into the business. Dad was probably in his early 60s at that stage, and I wanted to learn as much as possible from him. Now, thankfully, he's still in the business at 82 and working every day and still very much involved.
Yeah.
And I succeeded him as managing director 2 years ago, coming up in May. So that's been the journey in the background.
Yeah, so yes, we've gone a while anyway, and so tell me, so it sounds like the business totally evolved and changed, especially on the European landscape. So who would be your ideal customer at the minute then, or your ideal target market?
Yeah, so I suppose we have our customers are the Tesco's and Sainsbury's of this world. Our consumer, or that's who we sell to, but who we actually want to speak with and talk to is our consumers. And we have probably a number of different profiles of consumer. So for our core health food, our milled seed range, I like to use the example of Gabby Logan as that's who I think of whenever I think of our core customer, our target customer. You know, she's 49, she was 49 whenever we done this piece of work a couple of years back. Busy mom, affluent, professional, likes to look after her health and her family's health, and does lots of home cooking and home cooked meals. So that's probably our bullseye target audience for our core range. We recently launched a new range of products called Overnight Oats, and they are essentially all you have to do is add milk and put them in the fridge the night before. So you've got your oats, your chia seed, your protein, the flavor, vitamins, all added into the mix, and you just add your milk and chill overnight. So that's a completely different target audience and a much younger demographic. So you're talking your Gen Zs and your millennials for that particular range of products. So between the two product ranges, we target quite a diverse target audience. Well, multiple target audiences.
That's really cool, though. You know, like it's dead easy for me to visualize. You know, Gabby Logan, and I suppose that makes it very effective when you know exactly who you want to speak to.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's important that we know who we're trying to speak to, and then we build our marketing campaigns and tailor our activities around trying to reach those people in a most effective way possible.
Of course. So, it's a really exciting time for the business, and obviously you're head of the business now for the last couple of years. What would you say has been the biggest lesson you've had since you've been MD?
Big lesson, and it's something that Dad has drilled into us, and I always lived by this kind of mantra that innovate or die.
Okay.
And as a business, we've evolved and innovated over the last 60 years, and we continue to do that.
Yeah.
And I think if you stand still, then you're going backwards, because all of your other competitors and all of the other people in your industry are innovating and moving forward. So that would be the biggest lesson that he has instilled in me, to continue to innovate and always be pushing forward.
You guys are speaking from experience over the last sort of 100 years as well, like, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
very, very cool. And what would you say has been the biggest surprise since you took over? You know, was there something that's happened that you wouldn't have expected?
I suppose what I shouldn't be surprised at is when your plans don't work out exactly how you anticipate. So I suppose you have to expect surprises in business, and
Okay.
things happen, and you know that you maybe haven't anticipated, and you just have to deal with that. And that comes back to living with uncertainty and being comfortable with uncertainty is probably something that I've come to accept, where you obviously, everybody strives for certainty. You love to have that certainty, but actually that's not always possible, and you have to be able to deal with uncertainty and be comfortable in that uncertainty.
You'd nearly be surprised if it went the way you thought it was going to go.
Well, almost, yeah, almost.
Yeah, it's about that's probably the mindset you need to have.
Yeah.
So as a leader of a business, then who do you model yourself on? Like, who do you admire as a good business leader?
I would say I have an example very close to home, which is my own father.
Yeah,
And Dad built a fantastic business over 60 years, and a testament to that is we have a workforce of about 80 team members. Over 40 of those have been with us for over 10 years.
yeah,
So we have a very long-serving team, and that speaks volumes of the culture and the values that Dad has brought to the business, between culture of treating people well and treating people with respect, the innovation, and always thinking different. He's quite an unconventional character of always, well, why is that? There's always another question, another why.
curious.
So I would, yes, curious about everything. And so he would be one, and not necessarily a business leader, but certainly a thought leader in management and leadership, is a gentleman called David Marquet, and he was a submarine commander in the US Navy, and he has a leadership style called intent-based leadership, and that really resonated with me. Of people, I try to not give direction. We set the strategy for the business, but then I see my role as then facilitating the team to get on with the job and carry out that and enact the plan and the strategy. And so my role is facilitating the team, and the intent-based leadership is where my team will come to me and say, I intend to do X, Y, or Z. And at that point I can say, well, why do you think that's a good idea? Or what's your thoughts behind that?
Yeah.
But it's not me saying we should do this and then letting the team do it. So I don't get it right all the time, but that's the intention. That's what I try.
Yeah, no, it's kind of keeps you out of their road. Then it just makes them think and lets them. You're growing them as people and leaders as well. Then very cool.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was going to ask,
Sorry.
what about have you picked up any favorite quotes or sayings along the way that have served you well?
I like one. I'm not sure who to attribute it to, but if you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. And that mindset of, well, if we're going to make it happen, it's possible, and if we think it's not possible, then we certainly will fail. So I think that speaks to the art of the possible, and you have to be brave and bold and go for it.
Yeah,
And don't take no for an answer.
I think it's Henry Ford, but it's a good one, isn't it?
Okay.
Whatever
Yeah.
you think is going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
And what about is there anything you've done along the way that you would do differently if you had your time again?
That's a good question. Lots would be the short answer. Yeah, there's lots of things that I haven't done probably as well as I would have liked. I'm trying to think of anything in particular that stands out. I probably would have went to university at 18.
Okay.
Because I knew Dad was going to be as well, and have the longevity of still being in the business at 82. I might have went to university, maybe traveled a bit more. I left school and straight into the business, and I've worked there ever since. So maybe getting some experience outside of Linwood's would be probably the one thing I would do different.
Yeah, just to get a bit of context on everything.
Yeah, and broaden horizons in terms
Sure.
of how it's done elsewhere, and taking the positives and the negatives from other places.
Yeah. So sounds like you've got a great team, great product, business is in great shape. What does the next 5 years look like for Linwoods, and what would you say the main challenges are?
Yeah, I see lots of opportunity.
Yeah.
Of course, that presents challenge. So we're growing quite strongly at the minute, which is fantastic. That presents challenges in terms of scaling up and investing in equipment and maybe new buildings and growing the team. So there's challenges there. In terms of the next 5 years, we currently are supplying health foods, and our core seed range kind of straddles between supplements and food. And I would see maybe a divergence. We continue to sell our core seeds, but we're also moving now into more food, which is the overnight oats. So it's a food with benefits and functional foods, but also into more supplements or condition-led products for a particular condition. And there's a huge movement towards food as medicine. And that's even within the medical field within the UK with GPs and whatnot. And there's a British Society of Lifestyle Medicine now with over 900 GPs. And that's where people, instead of giving people tablets to cure a condition, well, actually you can prevent it through lifestyle, and obviously diet and nutrition is a key part of that. So I think around that space, there's huge growth potential and area that we can provide solutions to people to hopefully prevent them getting sick or illness, instead of you wait till you're sick and then you go to see a doctor about a chronic disease or whatever.
That sounds amazing. Even like saving on the NHS and all sorts of things there. Like that sounds really exciting.
Well, even like 5 years ago, it would have been laughed out of the place if you'd said you can reverse diabetes through lifestyle.
Yeah.
And now it's widely accepted that if people change their diet, their lifestyle, their exercise habits, that they can reverse from being diabetic back to pre-diabetic. Yeah. So that's widely accepted now. So I believe that will transpire across a range of different, whether it's cardiovascular or other health conditions, that can be helped to prevent those conditions by a healthy lifestyle.
Well, that's yes. It sounds really exciting, and I'm blown away with that. And like, I always love to hear about a local company, performing on a global stage, and being a global leader. So I really appreciate you coming on today. Tell us a bit about what you're up to, and definitely, I'll be watching this space to see how you guys get on in the next few years. But thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Scott. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.